The premise of this week's episode was pretty simple. In a previous mission, the Enterprise may have left some equipment behind, indicated by some satellite images of Rigel 7 showing the symbol that we all know and love. Because Pike was the leader of this previous mission, it is down to him and his crew to go and clean up any mess that they may be responsible for. However, when they beam down, they don't find equipment. They have found a missing member of the previous crew. Having been thought to be dead, lost in the mission, no one went to go look for Zach, and now he is the lord of the planet. Now, the planet itself has an interesting side effect because of an unknown element deposited by an asteroid. People on the surface and around the planet really have a loss of memory, missing time, terrible migraines, and it seems to be something that resets every time you go to sleep or a certain amount of time has passed and you're in the atmosphere or around the planet unshielded. And so on to this adventure of confusion in Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 4, Among the Lotus Eaters. Once they get to the planet, Pike discovers there is one lone survivor. It takes a little while to get there, but they meet the Lord Zach. Our young Zach here used to be a yeoman on the Enterprise and was one of the 3 crewmen thought lost. However, he was just left behind and he wasn't too happy about it. Equipped with just a little bit of Starfleet technology and a little bit of know-how, he has become basically the ruler of this area or the entire planet. And he's a little upset about being left behind. And, well, with Pike here, it's the perfect time for a little vengeance.
Revenge is a dish that is best served cold.
With the planet's side effects, it's a pretty easy plan, and he attempts to execute it very quickly. Pike and crew soon find themselves, yet again, behind bars.
How's everybody doing? You good?
Now, while finding that survivor was definitely our first standout scene, the second one is going to be La'an forgetting. Now, it's not specifically La'an. I like the way the forgetting scenes were done for everyone. The high-pitched noise, that image being a little fuzzy while we would look at the screen, they were minor changes that really indicated what was happening, and you could tell the onslaught as it started to happen again up on the Enterprise. Rather, it was Pike beginning to feel the effects, and M'Benga being just generally confused, or Uhura suddenly not remembering if she sent in a report or not. Showing the effects of the memory loss was just incredibly imaginative. Just these minor changes really indicate the trouble that's happening to each member of our cast as it happens. Of course, La'an being the first affected sets the tone, but when it really came down to it, Erica losing her memory and her reaction was my favorite by far. Now, when it comes to the third standout scene in this episode, it's going to be M'Benga's medical instincts. Yet by this time, he's already lost his memory. They don't know who they are. And yet the moment La'an is hit, he jumps into action. You can see his bedside manner throughout the episode is on point. He is a doctor. He is someone who is there to care for others. It is incredible to see that we see that personality is just simply a part of who he is, just as much as we see that La'an is a fighter and Pike is a diplomat, until he can't be one anymore. But it was a real pleasure to see M'Benga in action under such crazy circumstances. Now, while I did enjoy all of those scenes quite a bit, my very favorite out of all the let's forget, I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, is Erica. Yeah. With Erica Ortega's, we got someone from the beginning looking around, confused, and then frightened and running away, which is definitely not what you would expect from her. But as soon as something seemed familiar, she was right back in action. And not only that, convincing herself of who she was until she believed it and had the confidence to once again sit down and try to pilot the ship. So from the moment that she is told by the computer that she is Erica Ortega's and she's the one who's supposed to fly the ship, repeating the mantra, she's walking down the halls right up until she sits down, and then Spock believes her because she's saying it with such conviction. I loved it. And the fact that she was so familiar with it once she sat down, she's even using the lingo. She's going to thread the needle. It was fantastic. And really, one of the reasons we love Erica is because she is so exuberant and perfect as a pilot. It is who she is. Now we're at that halfway point. You know what I'm going to do. Please remember to subscribe, like if you're enjoying the video. Don't forget to hit that notifications bell if you want to be alerted when the next one's going to come out. If you'd like to help support this channel, you can do that by becoming a member, becoming a Patreon, or just giving me a one-time thanks below. I am heading to Las Vegas for the Star Trek convention in August, and if you would like to be a part of the standout scenes I do while I'm there, or if you have a great cosplay you'd like to share, make sure you let me know in the comments below, and I'll get back to you on when and where we'll be doing that. And now back to the review, and we are ready for the honorable mentions that made this episode good or bad. See how we did. For my first honorable mention, I'm going to go with Batel and Pike's relationship. It was an interesting point in the story, and that little medallion is the reason he's able to move forward while down on the planet. But I get a little worried whenever we have a romance of a couple that aren't both main characters, sometimes even when they are. It doesn't generally bode well for the supporting character. And Batel, I enjoy her. She's fun. She did a fantastic job at the trial, as she was supposed to. And I really do like her with Pike. However, we can't really have our main characters too happy. What's the fun in that? And so that, along with the previous trailer image of the Gorn attacking and she's on the ground watching the shadow of the ship approach, yeah, I worry for her future. That said, I thought it was really great that the thing that she gave her ends up being kind of his totem, leading him back to who he is, and giving him motivation to do more than just survive, but get those memories back. Not that he wasn't already motivated, but you know how it is to get that little something that pulls you back to where you should be. So it was a nice trinket and nice touch for the story. Now, for my second honorable mention, while Mbenga got a standout scenes for jumping out and taking care of things, I'm going to give Chapel an honorable mention for figuring it out on the ship. She had a little bit more help with all the technology at hand, but she did figure it out pretty quickly. She had took note of the effects on the brain, how quickly it was affecting the symptoms, and couldn't do a whole lot about it, but at least they knew what was coming. Spock even made a little handy chart so that people could figure out who they were, right up until they forgot how to read. And for my third honorable mention, it's going to be the character Luke. This was a great storytelling device. You could disperse information to the characters who needed it, give you an understanding of how the locals have been living, how they feel, how they look at life. Heck, their motto, live in the moment, you know, they're basically teenagers who don't think that tomorrow's ever going to be a problem. YOLO! But more importantly, Luke himself was a likable character, and we enjoyed getting to know a little bit about him, and getting information from him felt fairly normal simply because he was sharing information with our main characters and helping them out with their immediate issues. And for my fourth honorable mention, it's going to be Pike being ever the diplomat until it didn't work anymore and really he needed to go another route. Yet throughout the episode, it sort of feels like Pike's doing nothing. He's been sort of absent the last episode and not really a big part of the episode before that, or the one before that. We've seen in the Twitterverse people noticing, where is Pike? And now that he's back, yeah, he did some fighting, and using a tray as a shield was pretty cool, but he spent so much of the episode listening and talking, it was almost like he was a background character while the story was happening around him. And that's him being the diplomat. He was trying to figure out if there was an end from the moment he sees Zach again to the moment he is bursting into the castle. And Zach has no reason to give up. He's going to be in trouble if he goes back to Starfleet. Pike was not going to convince him to just, come on quietly. There was no other way for it to go down other than to Pike come in and forcefully remove Zach from his position. So basically, like Pike said, the planet showed him who he was. He did his best to work things out peacefully until it came down to saving his people, and peace was not going to work. Now, of course, a lot of other things did happen in this episode. In the beginning, we got that clip of Erica preparing that we had seen long ago, but it wasn't new, and even though it was cute and interesting, it really couldn't be a standout scene, especially if it was no kind of surprise and no new information was shared. And really, when it came down to it, as fun as it was to see poor Erica be disappointed about not being able to go on an away mission, her losing her memory and convincing herself of who she was again was far more entertaining and interesting as far as the character goes. Another really fun point in the story were the tools that Spock sent down for the away team. I love the little low-tech detail to making sure that they wouldn't be found out this time. Again, still thinking that a piece of equipment being left behind was the culprit for all the problems. I mean, you really should not have an insignia in your hedge if you're not supposed to be sharing technology with the locals. I feel like he should have known better. And of course, in a blatant disregard of the Prime Directive, Pike is going to remove the asteroid and therefore those elements that cause the trouble with the memory on Rigel 7. Yeah, I know it's very logical according to Spock. The natural development was disturbed by this asteroid. However, aren't asteroids natural? Well, they have a tendency to ignore the rules when it comes to asteroids anyway. Forget I'm saying anything. It's a wonderful plan, and there's nothing wrong with it. The Prime Directive is really more of a suggestion anyway. But either way, no matter how you look at it, the Kalars now should have a better chance at developing a society, and at the natural rate they would have, if not being interrupted by this rogue asteroid in the first place. Now, overall, the plot was fun. Okay, we're going to go back and clean up after our messes, but I have to say, I think Prodigy did it better with their episode. Yeah, it was a whole lot of nostalgia in it, of course, but it was a little more interesting. I have to say, it was a little more fun. Maybe I just enjoy smiling more during my episodes than going, why, what is going on and why? Anyway, it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite. Again, this season kind of disappointing us so far compared to the first. Not exactly new for most shows. A lot of times we find ourselves really excited by the first season, and then the second and third, not so great. I hope that's not what happens here. I hope it's just a couple of flubs and maybe things not moving as smoothly as we'd like, because there were some great scenes and there were some fun bits about each character who was focused in on in the episode this week. And of course, next week we'll have a brand new episode. I will be here reviewing it for you. Possibly it'll be here in this room. Possibly it'll be from an airport. I'm still working out my schedule as to when I'm going to get things done in a hopefully mildly timely manner. But you will get a review from me next week as I head off to Florida. Until then, please check out one of these videos for more Star Trek content, and I will see you there.